everybody. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everyone doing? Hey. Doing alright, doing alright. If you hear noise in the background, my cat is hanging out with me, being a good boy. But he can, get into mischief. So if you hear, bumping around in the background, it's just my cat. Nothing scary. I'm doing okay. Doing okay, surprisingly. Oh, dear. The kitty is getting caught in a wire. He's kind of not smart. Come here, buddy. Come here. Get out of the wire. It's not for you. Wire is not for kitty. Come on. There you go. My cat's name is Night, as in nighttime, N-I-G-H-T. Because he is a pure, silvery, gray, short-haired kitty. Some people think he's part Russian blue, but the vet just thinks he's just a short-haired cat who happens to be gray. Because he doesn't have some of the other physical features of a Russian blue cat. He keeps trying to get caught in this wire. I have to keep lifting it up for him to walk under, or else he's gonna step in it. So it's okay, Your Highness, you may pass. I haven't seen your shark yet. I haven't really checked much in a couple of days. I've been just all over the place. Sorry I haven't really put out many audios lately. A lot of stuff keeps getting in the way. Not only have I been busy with the kids and setting up my new house, but I keep getting sick. And my doctor is trying to figure out if I'm just sick because I'm 7 months pregnant and bodies will be bodies, or if I'm actually caught something. And also my 2-year-old little fox has not formed a consistent sleep schedule since we moved. Some nights she'll sleep the whole night through, or she'll be awake, but she'll be quiet and just sleep in. But last night / today, she woke up around 3 a.m. and didn't go back to sleep for hours. I think she's finally settled back down now. I haven't heard her in a little bit. Other than that, things have been okay. Things have been mostly okay. And according to the doctor, the baby's doing great, so that's a good thing. I do not know why I'm facing the way I'm facing. Because I'm facing the camera. For some reason, the capture software is depicting it as me facing a direction. It's very weird. I don't understand. Technology's weird. Oh, hello, Kitty. Just wondering what was bumped in my chair. Hello, doing okay today. How are you doing? And also, good morning / good afternoon / good evening, depending on your time zone. It is morning for me. It is very early morning for me. The sun is barely up. Oh, I can imagine this time of year being awful if you're in retail. I used to do retail when I was in like college and just after college, and it was terrible around like major holidays and sale events. Hello. When I was in college, I worked at a really, really fancy department store. Like super fancy, like nearly everything was ridiculously expensive unless they happened to be running like a super duper sale to get rid of stuff. But for the most part, everything stayed expensive. So you'd think that like the hoity-toity people who could afford to shop there regularly would be like somewhat polite and respectful towards the products and the employees. But that couldn't be further from the truth. A lot of the customers were rude. And in the clothing sections were very not nice to the clothing. They would just like put things back on the wrong shelves and the wrong racks, not even caring, or like leave stuff in messy piles so they try it out in the dressing room, not put things where they're supposed to go. It's a pain in the butt. And these were like fancy designer clothes. Like I'm talking like a single shirt is a basic shirt over $100. So you think people would be respectful towards the goods, but nah. They would just like bundle it up and dump it on the floor like they were shopping like at a Goodwill or something. It's crazy. And holidays were a zoo because that's usually when the store had some sales so regular people could shop there. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I didn't usually work the clothing area. I worked the men's fragrance / cologne counter. But even that got some like really weird, rude dudes shopping there. And especially rude ladies who would like shop for their boyfriends and husbands. Like, a couple of times, ladies would be shopping for their partners, and they'd ask me what my opinion was on like particular colognes, like what I felt was good, and then I would tell them my recommendations, which usually just so happened to be what management was pushing at the time because part of the job, and they would accuse me because of my recommendations that I'm trying to get with their partners, who I've never met, have no idea who they are, no idea what they look like. Because I said, oh, you should try this Armani cologne for your dude if you don't know what to get. They'd be like, oh, you trying to get with my man? I'm like, no. You asked me what I recommended. Good morning. I'm doing all right. Doing all right. Hey. We're just hanging out. We're having a nice casual morning chat. I've already finished my coffee though, so I'm just sipping other things. My cat went somewhere. I'm a little nervous. There's a lot of boxes in my office space right now because I haven't fully unpacked yet. And my cat likes to jump into the boxes and get stuck. Why are you sad, my dude? Like, this is a rough season, so like I know a lot of people who aren't doing great, but don't be sad. Being sad isn't good for you. Do I prefer pancakes or waffles? I like waffles more, because waffles have little pockets that better contain butter and syrup. That is my sound logic. Oh man, people are terrible to pharmacy employees. I was in line to pick up some medication the other day, and this lady that was at the counter in front of me was screaming at the poor pharmacy tech because she said that the medicine that she put an order for was in back order and hasn't been shipped from the manufacturer yet. So they didn't have any in stock, and they wasn't sure when they would get any. And she screamed like it was the fault of the poor pharmacy tech, like she was the one gatekeeping the medicine. Meanwhile, if you pay any attention to the news, at least in America, a lot of medicines are like in short supply due to like issues with companies and whatnot. Hey Mickey, it's going okay, How are you doing? I have very particular allergies that mainly just cause the inside of my nose to swell up and close off and just gets really nasty and painful. So like pill-based allergy medicines don't do much for me. I have to take a little mist I inhale. And so many places haven't had that in stock for the last like couple of weeks. And I feel bad because one, I've been finding it. I've been buying whatever I could of it so I have a stockpile and don't run out. Because my allergies, regardless of the time of year, can get really awful. Because I never know what's going to trigger it. And it's only been worse since I've been pregnant. Because when you're pregnant, like, you have increased blood flow. And that's like everywhere, including like in your nose. And then that makes things swell easier. But I don't like blame the people who work at the stores for the fact that this stuff isn't coming in. There's clearly something going on at these companies. Can't really do much about it. Hello, doing okay. How is you? I think Kitti left the room. The door is open. Oh. Give me 1 second. I have to check on the kids because I heard a noise. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Just as I was checking on the kiddos, husbando came in from work. Husbando works overnights now. So he just got in this morning. Had to show him where his food was and whatnot. Kids are okay. Kids are okay. Little Fox is still awake. She was fussing because she was offended that her radio speaker disconnected. So I had to reconnect her radio. Then as I was doing that, husbando came in the door because he works overnights now. So he leaves for work after dinner and comes home early in the morning. So I had to let him know what's been going on and show him where his morning food is so he can grab food, shower, and go to bed. Overnight shift isn't great, but with the way his company does it, it's better than the day shifts you could have because the overnight shifts are 10 hours instead of 8. So he only works 4 days a week and gets 3 days off. Granted, he doesn't get weekends off, but still, 3 days off a week's not bad. We're able to get stuff done then. And even though he's asleep, he's still home during the day in case of an emergency. It's just like, statistically speaking, less is going to happen late at night that we would need him for than during the day. Seriously, 3 days off is nothing to complain about, especially given the work culture of America. Yesterday evening was kind of a pain because I wasn't feeling too great yesterday. I was very sleepy, so I didn't. I was kind of absent-minded and didn't set anything out to be prepared for dinner. And by the time I was like really awake, it was a little late to cook. So we put an order for some Chinese food to be delivered, and they said it would only take an hour in total from like cooking to bringing it to our house because the place is like up the road from our neighborhood. They didn't show up until husbando had to walk out the door for work. It was like 2 hours. I was very frustrated. Riddles? What sort of riddles? Are they like riddles from the Riddler and Batman? Because I like Batman. Oh, you got a kitten? That's so cute. Kittens are great. I haven't had a kitten myself in like 10 years, but kittens are great. little stressed at first adjusting to the new schedule, but now that he's pretty consistent, even on his days off with the nighttime schedule, he's pretty okay with it. Squeeze me. I'm hoping to hear back from my parents today about my doggo. She's staying at their house for a little bit because it's easier for her to get to and from the vet for her checks from their house than from mine. Plus, my mom has more time and ability to run the dog to the vet than I do. My doggo, a week or so ago, tore a tendon, her ACL, in her leg. And she's a senior dog. She's like 13 years old. So the vet checked her out and decided that if you're younger, she could have surgery, but she's too old, so they can't do surgery. So he's just giving her medicine. And it seemed to work for a little bit. Then she started limping again and acting in pain. So I take her back, and they found that it wasn't healed yet. So they gave her a stronger medicine. And we're instructed to try to keep her off her leg. But it's a little tricky to do with a dog, because she doesn't understand. But hoping Doggo is feeling better, because I want my dog back. I miss her. He does get a nighttime differential at his job, yes. Not a whole lot, but it's better than nothing. Okay, a riddle. Standing for like... Holding something nice. 6. A horse? I don't really know. I'm not great at riddles. When I was a kid, that riddle, like, what's black and white with red all over? I thought, like, my answer was always a dead zebra, because I could not fathom what else it could be. Please tell me the answer, because I legit don't know. I'm also really not great at math. If any of my kids decide they want to do online content creation, it's going to happen when they're adults and in college, which would be a very long time from now. So the likelihood of them doing anything I do would be pretty small, because in 8 to 10 years, the internet's going to be very different than it is now. I generally don't like don't let my kids use the internet pretty much, unless my older one needs it for school. Because I used the internet as a kid, like when I was a little kid. I've been on the internet since I was a little kid. But there was a big difference between the mid to late 90s and early 2000s, when like very few people had internet. They understood how to use it, than now where accessing the internet for things is practically mandatory for living your life as an adult. There's just too many people, too many weirdos. Don't need my kids putting themselves out there. Like, so this is, I'm probably overboard, but I got into a kerfluffle with my older kiddo's school. Because at the beginning of the year, they had this thing to fill out. And one of the things was like, do parents consent to them using pictures of our kids on their website, social media, etc., etc.? And I said, no, I don't consent to that. I apparently was the only parent in the entire grade to say no. And apparently because I said no, it's problematic. And I said, it's like, you clearly don't understand the greater repercussions of freely posting images and videos of kids on the broader internet. Especially because the school does things like water days where they're like running through sprinklers in bathing suits and going to swimming pools, and just situations where like the bad people could easily just take the wrong things from the images and videos. And I don't want to risk any of my children being in that situation. So I said no. And the school had an issue with that. I'm like, so you don't care if there are creeps going on your Facebook page, saving pictures of random kids in their swimsuits, but yet you're up in arms because some books in your library for your kids are like stories about gay kids with romance. You care more about fictional gay characters than you do about possible predators saving images of your students. Okay then. Like, I'm not banking on my kids getting the best education where we live, because the state I live in is towards the bottom of the barrel for the country's education. Like, I think with like number 1 being the best and 50 being the worst in terms of states' quality of education, Texas is like 48 or 49. It's not great. But the least I can do is try to keep my kids safe while they're in school from actual risks and problems like predators and bullying than like stupid made up crap like them learning gay people exist, or learning that like, hey, some people are not nice to other people because of the color of their skin. Sorry, I had to like pop my neck. Being pregnant, I get very stiff if I sit in one position for too long. It's kind of annoying. wouldn't say schools were bad when we were kids, because at least the school I went to a very poorly funded public school when I was a small child. Like, it was so poorly funded that most of the classrooms were divided with fake walls and rolling chalkboards, so it wasn't that hard to hear what other classes were doing. It was pretty easy. Like, it was a very noisy environment. But the teachers themselves were good. It really did feel like the school's majority of their budget went on paying for good teachers than anything else. Because our teachers, like, the teachers did not hesitate to, like, point out if things in textbooks, because the textbooks were old because the school didn't have a lot of money, that, like, things in textbooks that weren't accurate anymore, and teach us how to, like, do our own research and problem solve. Hello, people joining. Thoughts on spicy food? I usually don't mind spicy food, but while I'm pregnant, I'm very sensitive to it. Like, even a little bit of spice in my mouth, like, no. It's kind of unfortunate. And I'm a YouTuber on YouTube right now, but I'm not permanently moving to YouTube. I'm still going to do most of my streaming on Twitch. In part because this is a audio storytelling channel, not a VTuber streaming channel. So most people aren't here for my streams. Whereas if you go to my Twitch, you're there for streamings. So that's my logic. I will say I probably got one of the most important lessons about the internet when I was like 9, and the school library had internet installed on its like 3 computers. Then, like, that I think people should be learning right now. That should be a requirement to learn before you can even start using the internet. And that is this thing you're looking at and reading coming from a valuable, credible, valid source, or is it written by some butthole in his basement? The technology teacher spent a whole class teaching us the difference between, like, getting information from sites like the dictionary's website or Encyclopedia Britannica, which was the big encyclopedia back then, and websites like that, or some weirdly written up page on Yahoo written by Brian Butt. They tell us the clear difference of that. It's like Brian Butt, denying global atrocities on his webpage is not a valid, credible source to use for anything. Especially when you fact check it and nothing comes up other than other Brian Butts in their basements on their random web pages. Hey Nathan, I see you. Chat is popping up a little sporadically for me. Like it's coming in bursts. So either y'all are typing all at once and it's coming in bursts, or YouTube is just processing it in bursts. Hey Collector, I'm doing okay. Doing okay. How are you doing? It may be on my end, the internet being kind of weird, because the company that provides my internet this last week has been having random hiccups. I know it's not the internet, like, specifically on the side of my house, because I'm paying what I think is too much money, but it's really fast broadband that usually works well. So usually when there's an issue, it's on the end of the company. I may not have caught your riddle. Feel free to post it again if you can. Left was in, right was out, four corners roundabout. My brain's too technical. All I can think of is a traffic light for your riddle. So long as your pickup line is, like, safe for work, feel free to have at it. Because I don't know how YouTube feels about, like, inappropriate chats. Fairly common thing to see in houses. Doesn't really help me, at least with my house, because I don't have very many red things. I really don't. Well, catch you later, Mickey. Thanks for hanging out. I'm hoping tomorrow morning I don't feel too sick and that the kids don't wake up early so I can maybe get some audios done. Holy crap. Oh, that's a cute pickup line. I like that. Alright, I give up on the riddle, Nathan. I'm very confused. Rather large thing. A large thing in a house. Is it a couch? Is it a couch? Or an oven, maybe? Hey Tio, how are you doing? Girl's good here. Okay. Oh, Clark, you're asking how the inflation's going here? Oh, Lord, I'm in America. Even the slightest increase in anything, and people freak out. Like, granted, it's not great here, but I've seen the statistics of what things are going on in other countries, particularly Europe. And compared to, like, the inflation in other countries, America is not, doing too horribly in that department. It's not great. It's where, inflation is worse than it was before here. And that is affecting people. But, like, other countries are definitely hit harder. Hey, I'm doing okay. How are you doing? Large enough that it can usually be seen from outside. A door? Or chimney? I don't know. Is it a chimney? Yeah, I figured out a riddle. I feel so smart now. Oh man. When people were complaining about gas prices in America earlier this year, I got so frustrated because I keep in contact with family of mine in Israel. And like gas where I live got as high as like a little over $5 for a gallon. One of my cousins did some math with currency conversion and showed me that while we were paying $5 for a gallon, he was paying a little over $8 per liter. And a liter is smaller than a gallon. And then from there I looked up what other countries are paying compared to America. And I'm like, I get the $5 is a lot. Like it's not great, but we could be worse. Y'all need to like get some perspective. I have not seen the new Last of Us trailer, in part because I don't have access to HBO, so I can't really watch anything on HBO. America is very car dependent. Very, very car dependent. The only places with mass transit that's remotely usable is like a handful of major cities across the whole country. The rest of the nation, if you don't have a car, you're screwed. Like, I don't have a car. I can't drive. So I'm wholly reliant on other people with cars to leave my house. It's not great. And the excuse is Americans love their cars. That's complete nonsense. The reality is our government is in the pocket of oil companies and car companies. So there's no incentive to take the money spent on supplementing the oil businesses and the car businesses and building just regular car roads. So there's no incentive to not do that. And instead, there's basically no incentive for the government to support mass transit. There's no incentive for them. Oh yeah, the airline companies don't help either. Because the airline companies know if we had workable trains even if the trains did not cross state lines, if trains only went between cities in their own state, they'd still lose business to the trains. I lived in Philadelphia for a period of time when I was a single young adult, and I miss it. Especially when I need to go places, I miss it because I used to get around Philadelphia entirely either on foot, by bus, or by the city's train lines. I could get to the Philadelphia airport to fly home to my parents without needing to even be in a car. I could also get to family in New York City from Philadelphia without touching a car. Hey Revenant, get some good sleep. What's up with your grandma? And I'm doing well. How are you doing? It's kind of crazy. The town I live in, the area itself, is surrounded by a bunch of highways. And the highways are always under construction. And right now the construction is really bad. So there's always traffic. So getting anywhere outside of my town and the ones near it is really difficult and very irritating. that's cool about your grandma. That's cool. Sludgy, sludgy, sludgy. Oh, I know building more roads is not solve traffic. Where I live is a very clear example of that. It's like if there was an article about building roads not solving traffic, all the pictures they use can be of the highways near where I live, and it'd be wholly accurate. But I have like no faith in the state I live in to do anything good with mass transit anytime soon. Because it's not in the interest of the people running the state. I like some game music. I'm not overly familiar with a lot of games anymore, but I do like some music. Like one of my favorite soundtracks of all time is from the Sonic Adventure series, especially Sonic Adventure 2. I could go on for forever about how awful Texas is. It has some nice things to it, like anywhere else, but how it's run is just like, unless you're a business person or rich, it's not great. And one of the worst pieces of irony about Texas is our governor is in a wheelchair. He got into an accident years ago. He's in a wheelchair. Yet he's been supporting cuts left and right for disability services for everybody else in the state. Dude's in a wheelchair. You'd think he'd be sympathetic, but no. Our governor is just like the worst kind of irony. It's terrible. Like, another ironic thing about him is after he got into his accident, he sued the people who owned the property his accident happened on for a lot of money. And then, when he became governor, he pushed through legislation that caps the amount of money people can sue for who get into horrible accidents. So he was able to make bank and get a lot of support when he got in trouble. but now, like, no one else can. He's the very definition of okay for me, but not for thee. It's very unfortunate. Catch you later, Aura Knight. Thanks for hanging out. I won't say it's better than living in California. It's about the same. It really depends on what you want to do, if Texas or California is better. Like, for me, if California, the parts of California I'd want to live in anyway, weren't so crazy expensive, I'd want to live there. But as that is, the parts of California that would work for me are just overpriced at the moment. In front of the background, it might be the sound of my heater. Get it kicked on. Back when I worked out of Nevada, I did not mind Nevada very much. It's actually a very nice state. The only problem is that a lot of people have learned how nice Nevada is. So all the parts of Nevada people would be comfortable living in are now getting overpriced. It sucks. And the parts of Nevada that are still cheap are either way up in the mountains or in the middle of the desert. Both of which is just not good places for people to live. Oh man, you know, talking about bacon, I do turkey bacon sometimes, and I like it kind of soft. I generally don't like crunchy foods. Oh boy, there's a bot. Gotta kill it. Yes, I have a filter in place so certain kinds of messages don't automatically show up in chat, but I can see them and mods can see them. So I was like, screw off, bot. I don't have a lot of extensive knowledge about pork bacon, but turkey bacon doesn't taste bad to me. need to get comfy again. This chair is not the greatest in the world. Yeah. There we go. I've seen some of those protest pictures. It's kind of funny. Throwing food on paintings. It's creative, if anything. I need to figure out what I'm going to cook for dinner today. Haven't decided what to cook. Well, I had to get comfy. I had to sit back a bit because sitting completely upright off the chair was starting to hurt my back. What sucks is I'm 7 months pregnant, and so just being comfortable in general has become like a workout. Like even just sitting like somewhere really comfy, like a couch, I have to adjust a dozen times. The worst is when I get into bed and I get really comfortable, especially when I like get up from being asleep. I feel like a beached whale because I can barely move. Just getting up, I have to like shuffle a lot, and I get out of breath. It's very annoying. Oh man, I need to clean my office space. I just noticed how much crap is in it that I need to clean out. I've gotten lazy. Don't be like me, don't get lazy. It's all good, my dude. It's all good. It's just part of the job of making a baby. Or in this case, growing a baby. are there house lizards in America? Like outside lizards that can get in your house? It depends on where you live. Like if you're in the south or southwest, you can get lizards in your house, especially in the spring and summer. But if you're like up north where it's like cold most of the year, no lizards. America is a very big, spread out country. Hello, I'm doing okay. How are you doing? Something I've noticed, at least on Twitter, is the sheer amount of artists who are like very skilled and very talented, but when they put up their list of like what they will and won't draw, they will only draw like women and femboys, but won't draw like actual men. And I can't help but being like, why not? Like I can sort of draw. I'm not the best at all. I'm mediocre at that, but men, women, it's just people. There's different shapes. Like I get it, everybody has their preferences, but like, come on. There's not a whole lot different when it comes to drawing like dudes and chicks. Just dudes tend to be more angular, while chicks tend to be more like curves. Plus, at least in my opinion, to grow as anything, whether it's like an artist or a musician or an actor or a writer or anything, you gotta step outside your comfort zone and practice different things. Because that's the only way you get like better at what you do. Is like practicing and stepping outside what you're comfortable with. Like, okay, when I started doing audios, there were certain kinds of characters I just did not think I would ever want to do. Particularly, like, more aggressive, bully kind of characters, and tomboys, and just certain, like, character types. Like, any character that come across as, like, really mean, I didn't think I'd be able to do. Certain kinds of monsters I didn't think I could portray well. But I just started doing it anyway. And the more I did them, the better I felt I was getting at them. But was I nervous as hell every time I tried something new? Oh, you betcha. I did it anyway. I think one of the riskiest audios I did was the yandere audio, where the yandere, breaks into a school and tries to basically kill everybody to get to the person, the listener, that she's in love with, and convince them that they're meant to be together. That was a really risky audio to make, especially given the time period I put it out in. And I did it anyway, because my creativity told me so. Stretch. Oh, I just got this, I guess you'd call it a game, but it's definitely a 18 plus adult game called Koikatsu Party, where you can make custom character models and then play through a little story. And then if you don't want to play the story, you can just pick scenarios you want to put the character models in, and a lot of those scenarios are not safe for work. It's a great thing to waste time messing around in. Koikatsu. Yes, it's a 3D anime game. You make little models, then make them, boing each other. I made Takara in it, and Ruby, and Kitti. But the Takara model is very amusing to me because she has very thick thighs. I made her thighs a little too thick. I think I went a little overboard with Kokatsu because not only was the game itself kind of expensive to get, but I spent an additional $5-10 on mod packs from very highly recommended modders to add more to the game. My thought process, though, is I could make my OCs in it and then record the little naughty animations it can do and post it to Patreon as like bonus content. That was my logic. I don't know if you'd call it a simulator game. I don't know what to call it, to be honest. More of a not safe for work, waste a lot of time game. Squishing the head is funnier, but if you want to go for like naughty squish the neck, depends on what your goal is. Silence of the house is coming slowly but surely. There's a lot to unpack and organize. Why am I yawning so much? I'm not that tired. What are you doing, body? What's going on? I've yet to see a horse girl, you're correct. I've also not seen a manatee. Nope, no manatees. No horses, no manatees. No, no buffalo either. You're correct. I've not seen the buffalo. Hang on, y'all. Alright, y'all. Unfortunately, I do gotta sign off now. Husband went to bed. The kids are starting to wake up. My 8-year-old just woke up. So I gotta go get her dressed and make breakfast and whatnot.
I don't see it.
Hang on. So unfortunately, I gotta bid y'all adieu for now. I might hop back on Twitch later, on Orky's Twitch. So be sure to follow Orky VTuber on Twitch. But otherwise, I'll be doing my usual Wednesday and Thursday Twitch streams this week. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but they're going to happen. But thanks for hanging out with me. It's been a good couple hours. Y'all are awesome. Have a good day if it's morning for you. Have a good night if it's night for you. And I'll see you later. Mwah. Ada, ada.